Even though the current meta might appear quite narrow, there still are quite few niche scenarios where you can find a less popular comp finding success even against the best Fast 9 boards. My name is Boris, and today we'll be looking at one of such boards, that is the Jinx-Akali reroll. The comp already started to gain some traction towards the end of last patch, but now has been further optimized and has managed to find success under the right conditions. Let's quickly take a look at the comp and follow it up with a VOD review from a TPC player. Our game plan for the comp is going to be the general 2-cost reroll, where we are ideally playing from a win streak around the Primordial opener to generate a little bit of an extra econ, but it's also completely fine to be loss streaking all the way to 3-2 and then spiking with our 2 stars, winning out the rest of the stage 3. We definitely want to be preserving some lives, as we already are going to be under quite a lot of pressure to be hitting around 4-1 or 4-2, where the other comps are going to be coming online. To compete, we're going to need to hit, but if you have extra lives, you have a little bit of cushion to be sacking with. When we are rolling on level 6, once we have found Jinx and Jax, those are going to be our prime units and are close to the Akali and Bel'Veth, we are fine to be leveling to 7 if the tempo dictates us that it is necessary for ourselves, slotting it ideally Kindred. However, MF, Morgana or Rast are going to be fine, whichever you pick up first, slot them in. Once we have finished our 3 stars, then we push level 8, ideally slotting in the Trust, but it's going to be quite similar to Morgana. Other notes regarding the comp, we are positioning in ideally to be focus firing the weak side of enemy boards, overflowing them and giving the Akali potential to wrap. It's also fine to be positioning in a way that this Jax is your solo frontliner. For that, we are moving the Diana, Rast and Aatrox back to 3rd or 4th row. If you do not have this Kindred particularly, then we can move this Bel'Veth into this nuke here and have Akali around here, and simply have this Jax around where the Diana is right now, or in where he is there. That is going to utilize the absolute insane power that this Jax unit still has, even though his damage reduction scaling with AP got nerfed. For our augments, we are going to be ideally looking for something that enables the reroll, and then items, as we're going to be having 4 3-star units. We need quite a lot of items to make best use of them. For the emblems, only good one is really the Challenger +1. I would not be investing my augment picks in chasing any. Otherwise, Primordial can simply, if you somehow stumble into it, be a little bit of an extra free damage source. Just toss it on whoever fits the scenario the best at the moment. Regarding our augments, one of the better ones is Treasure Hunt, functioning as that reroll item augment that you can have. Quite a lot of useful hits you can find there, and then if you find something like a pan, you can utilize one of the bows for the Challenger emblem. Too much value definitely can gain a little bit of an econ advantage here, and if you're playing from a win streak opener, you're also completely fine to be sacking a little bit of a stage 3 to greed the rerolls by slotting in 6 2 costs. No Scout, No Pivot and Warlord's Honor can bridge that gap in terms of raw stats for your unit, giving that extra scaling, and No Scout, No Pivot has that potential for a win out if you're able to get to the later stages of the game. Otherwise, item augments, Sword Auto, Foe, Indiscriminate Killer, Swordsmith, Cybernetic Implants, anything that simply provides you with more valuable items for your units. For our itemization, we have that Shred and Sunder sorted out through Aatrox, therefore we sort out the anti-heal through ideally Red buff. Rageblade is not that great since Challengers already have that back-ended scaling built into them. Red buff simply provides us with more upfront attack speed, ideally for that burst that we're going for. We do not want to be stalling as much, and Kraken is great at already synergizing with the red buff right there. For our last slot, ideally Deathblade, but IE or Giant Slayer are completely fine. Akali is going to be leaning more towards the swords with that Edge of Night, and BT is here if you need to kill some more swords. Otherwise, Hand of Justice is going to be a little bit better, and for that last dot, Strikers, Giant Slayer or IE. Whereas Bel'Veth, her itemization hasn't really changed. QSSS to keep her ramping and safe. Akali also can utilize that quite well, as you just want to avoid all these new ults. Then Kraken, Giant Slayer and DB, or any form of another damage amp item. She's going to love your bows a little bit more. Whereas Jax, as mentioned, the best did not change. Double Stoneblade, Crown Guard. You can substitute one of those Stoneblades with Protector's Vow or Warmogs, or if you're in absolute necessity of killing more rods, then you may consider either that Rageblade or another Crown Guard Slam. For our gods, since you're playing reroll comp, obviously Varus is going to be great. His bug got fixed, so having that little extra HP for ourselves is amazing. Otherwise, Kale for items and Yasuo to further empower our units. Something like the max HP scaling hex, something like the stun hex on the Jinx or attack speed are all great. As usual, this cheat sheet is going to be available in the link down below along with all the other ones I've made. And now let's jump into VOD review with a pro. Jumping in game here with Wigwag. For those who do not know, he's pretty much the up and rising star in the NA region. His first set in the pro circuit is this set, and he has already put up stellar results, finishing 8th and 5th in the Stargazer and Darkstar Cups respectively. Our gods for the game are going to be Varus and Yasuo. Varus, one of those reroll enablers. Thankfully, his blessing got fixed, and we're going to be playing in Prismatic Finale. Therefore, we can definitely expect huge spikes coming out on the 4-2 augment selection. We are starting out already with a Briar pair. Definitely the Primordian opener, still one of the great ways how you may be accumulating extra resources, opting to hold onto this Nova package, which is something we do not see that much being done in the game right now. It's partly due to Caitlyn just not being the greatest of the carries. She can do alright with very niche and specific items, and is one of the ways how you can actually transition into Xayah if you're able to pick up a strong early stage too. But we see this Meepsy here, and yeah, we're opting to hold the Meepsy, we're opting to hold the Akali pair, which can link to those Marauders as well if we find a Belvet. But Meepsy being one of those units that can unlock the Shepherd for you, especially since we saw a Rod there, maybe considering some potential for an AP. At the moment, our probably most likely slam would be something like a Morello. Sterak's Gauge would not transition into much. And Gunblade is also not the preferred top item, plus it's more synergistic when you have other items. Our board is not that strong in my opinion for us to be taking Prize Fighter here. We do not have an upgraded unit, and Seraphim's Staff is also, it sees more play now that it's AP. Definitely something you can consider for the AP tempo meta to get yourself to fast 9. Whereas Contra Killer is an interesting augment. There is a 2-cost reroll board floating around. Definitely many of these 2-cost units, and Contra Killer could be something to play into it. But I think we would want to be see, well, with the sword we could consider, but he wants something like an IE. However, he does not see that as a line. I do not see what our Psionic was. Now we see no scout, no pivot for ourselves. PD double kill is something that we could be playing again into. Even though it's a Rage Blade, it's not the best Xayah's item. You can simply use this to either tempo or go into some form of a Vex comp, which would be a little bit better of an option. Electro Charge is good in your heavy frontline comms, but combat on 2-1 is only either you're going to be sacking and spiking on stage 3, or you have to have a Giga Tempo spot. However, no scout, no pivot is something that is actually good for this comp, but we will have to do a little finessing here since we have these Primordian units, and if we are playing into this comp, our only unit right now is this Akali. He opts to sell to make 10 and is going to be fielding these 2 Akali, so we're probably looking at a loss streak throughout this stage and then looking to spike with our 2 stars on 3-2. Now, the worrying part from here is that playing with the no scout, no pivot from a pretty much full open as this is, you obviously want to receive this scale, get to the scaling point, the break point of around stage 6, where this augment truly kicks into full power. It's already good on stage 5, but you obviously want to be having a little bit of that of an HP lead. And now we see the Belvet in shop. I'm not exactly sure what we're tabbing out, perhaps looking for stats or other options. Now we have placed this Belvet that obviously synergizes also into this comp, but did not have otherwise the Prime Primordian spot, because Primordian is also a comp that you could be still enabling from something like a no scout, no pivot spot. Now, finding the Akali too, I believe we are still fine to make it, but perhaps we have to evaluate. There is a calculated loss player here, so might just be holding on to it, might perhaps even be locking our shop. Evaluate that we're still going to be losing here. This Akali too, simply we do not have the durability, no tanks for her to be holding on to. And since we are playing a couple of 2-costs, we still are at a decent odds to finding them, so we're not going to value the shop lock as much. Even though we are going to be going for a loss streak. Therefore, we cannot obviously hold on to other units as well as we're holding no scout, no pivot for our god selection. Parting gifts. I've not seen many players click this thing. I mean, it's a little bit of an extra gold that we've been getting, and if you high roll your unit, that can be good, but you're pretty much gambling. Cosmic Hex, though, if we find that Jax, if we had it already, this would be immediate scaling. Only issue is that obviously this Yasuo Hex is always lock us in a position, and there might be someone who's out positioning us, as our goal would be to target their weak sides. has a little drawback there, but perhaps we're still going to be valuing this Cosmic Hex to even further amplify this our tank, or we're going to value a little bit more gold. We're going to be valuing the Cosmic Hex. I believe that is also a stronger option, and we have an option to pick up a bow, and I believe that is something that we should definitely be going for into this spot. Our shops seem still to be a little useless, but it's completely fine. We should be, as long as we can dodge the calculated loss player, they have the chance to gain a Leon at the end of the combat, so I would assume that they are most likely not going to be selling their board off from this. So we are fine to be also slamming an item here, just hopefully preserving any form of an HP that we can. Another point of playing from this loss streak that I was trying to allude to is that we have the Prismatic Finale, therefore we are pretty much under pressure to be hitting by 4-2. Why? Because a lot of these boards are going to have immense power coming in. Even though it's a fast 9 meta, and obviously there are going to be some players who are looking to potential to sack their stage 4 in order to make it to a fast 9 board, obviously that is going to have a higher cap. And other comps can find strong combat augments that is going to make it hard for us to be able to compete, unless we are able to enter there with a good HP lead and have hit our units. And whenever you take something that is not econ, such as no scout, no pivot, you're definitely looking for an econ option on 3-2 now. Find the Jinx, and even though Rageblade is not the prime item, we have to find ways to kill rods, and obviously one of the better ways is this Crown Guard. However, since Jax's damage reduction no longer scales with his AP, I would prioritize making Stoneplate first, and now we see another rod, so we simply have to find ways to do it. Gunblade is another opportunity to do so, but we have so many other ways to invest our swords and bows that you simply sometimes have to just do with the last ditch effort. We're fine picking up a Chain Vest, so that gives us an option to kill the sword. We could just kill the rod. We could just be going with the Death Blade and here slam the Crown Guard as soon as we're able to find the Jax, completing our 6 loss quite nicely here. Did not manage to kill too many units, so we're down already to 62 HP, but hopefully we're able to stabilize here and win out the rest of the stage. Our gold count is quite alright, given that we hit that Akali too, which was quite a bit of an investment, but since we're chasing her at the 3-star as well, it should be worthwhile. We get offered now, ideally we're looking for an econ option, and even though slamming is something that is not super appealing, since it incentivizes you to push levels, getting that getting 18 gold right now, since we have not pumped the levels yet, is going to be quite worthwhile. Warlord's Honor is something that, if you do not have something like Scout, no pivot, can definitely allow you to go for that stage 4 spike as well. Sometimes quite underrated combat augment in many of the other comps as well. High voltage, obviously not great for ourselves. Many AP comps also love running the Void Staff on their own, so they're not going for it. Too tanky. We cannot pivot our line and cannot play from Samira for this spot really. And obviously we simply needed econ there, and Jeweled Lotus would have a little redundancy for ourselves since we already have Akali granting us that precision. He's opting to even sack one more, which is the interesting choice, still valuing that he's potentially going to be able to spike. Now, we are going to be off interval pretty much the whole time, right? Because we're getting 4 HP each turn with all our items slam. We're going to pre-level now, but dropping down to 50, I'm wondering what was his reason for sacking this round here. Finally able to pick up the Jax, now going to be rolling. Perhaps he simply values that he still needs that much econ, therefore dipping an extra round on a 6 loss is quite worthwhile. And perhaps also we took a little bit while on our augment decision, although it seemed quite relatively fast, simply not wanting to waste time in a sense of, you know, when you play no scout, no pivot, you feel the wrong unit, your game is ruined. But we see an interesting option here, 2 tanky Zoe. That is something that hasn't been explored too much, but perhaps with Leona Printer it's something quite worthwhile, allowing you to also get to that 4-star Leona quite early on. We have an option for a lesser duplicator with a virus, so I would believe that would be quite strong. Otherwise, Stormhex is also quite nice on this Jinx, since he's able to spread that damage around, get a little bit of a stun across the board. But we already rolled down to 30, so we saw that we needed pretty much all the gold we had offered for ourselves. And now probably picking up a sword, I would assume, from here. Protector's Vow, the Spirit Visage is something that also may be considered as a potential on the item. Same goes for Protector's Vow. We're going to go in with the Spirit Visage, evaluating that we want to be strong now. We have lost another round even after a roll down, and having made this Diana 2, which was also quite a bit of an investment, we definitely want to be stabilizing, therefore having to make this item slam, perhaps feeling the pressure coming in a little bit over there. Queuing into a 1-star Karma, but with a strong frontline in form of Nalavi 2. Thankfully, she's not having a mana item, so we should be fine. And scouting, I did not exactly catch what the players do playing in there, but we see there's also the aura farming Sona coming in there. This player also was contesting, it seems, the loss streak, so they're going to be under quite a lot of pressure to stabilize. So it's nice for us to pick up the win here, and I believe they can return to our pool in 4-3. Or shortly after they cash out their aura farming, but at least we fought them now, so hopefully we're not going to see him right immediately after they cash out their aura farming. Now, should easily pick up a win right here against another, but seems to be a Fast 9 player. Fast 9 obviously extremely hot in the meta. Both different ways how you can approach time, playing more around the Vex or playing around the Bard Sona duo. Vex offering potential for a little higher cap, especially since she's able to run that Graves quite neatly on level 9, plus Graves base getting the buff. Are we seeing that this player might be going for Diana and Jinx as well? Perhaps that's why we're so aggressively scouting them. They have that Seeker Zamgar, which is one of the artifacts that definitely enables her finding that stone plate. So now we should be quite certain on the Jax. Jax being the definite item prior that you want to be taking, as he's the true frontliner. He's able to enable your challengers to ramp up and gain the power. From there, we're able to hit the Jax 3, able to hit the Akali 3. I'm not sure if transitioning the items would be the best choice to Akali 3 right now, but let's see how he evaluates this. Thankfully, we're able to pick up another easy win against Dweha here, who is sacking a little bit for his anima cash out, but doing it so late. He's going to be a lot of pressure if he does queue down to the 300, for example. For ourselves, we do get offered now. Ideally, we're looking for items. We have hit already a couple of our 3-stars, so definitely want to stabilize. And Sword Overflow here seems quite appealing. Since we do not even have the Jinx item sorted out, she's going to gain a little bit of an extra attack speed from the swords, and we have a lot of swords already, so that is quite neat for ourselves. Otherwise, Radiant Rascalgoths could be a quite toss here from, for example, onto this Akali. Definitely strong augment also in these reroll lines. Money Monsoon, we simply cannot afford to take it here, especially if we are playing a comp that needs to bridge that gap to the top tier comps. We need to funnel ourselves as much combat and item power as we can. Taking one econ obviously is fine, but well, we cannot be doubling down, and invested is not going to provide us extra value. This is something you can take in your desperate plays, but you definitely need to hit right now and utilize this full gold when you're playing reroll. And with another econ option, therefore we just simply have to go with Sword of Flow here. Going to be going the triple Death Blade, and well, Death Blade is not the best item for Akali. It's still quite fine. It's also quite neat to transition on a Belvet, and since we have that attack speed there, we're quite good. Rolling down here, identifying that we definitely want to be spiking here and finding all our units. This is absolutely amazing for ourselves, and we are already not that far from the level 7 ourselves. Are we going to be holding on to this MF as a potential to be slotting in on that level 7? It's going to be a little while since we want to rebuilding our economy a little bit before we are pushing our levels. We should theoretically be able to do so already if we gave up onto the Aatrox, but he opts to sell the MF. Another thing that we could just be doing here is sitting to rebound our econ fluidly and then try to make our way already to level 9, finding that Rust and finding that Kindred, or simply have some gold to obviously roll at level 7 to find the Rust or the Kindred in a high roll scenario, or simply settle for an MF, which could be quite fine as well. Let's see how he manages to approach it. Last god selection right here, Acceleration Hex. Since we do not have the pure attack speed item on Jinx here, I think is going to be the best possibility for ourselves. Again, parting gifts, no one really likes that in itself. Have a potential to go for another Death Blade, but it seems that we are going to go for a more defensive route instead. Having something for these melee units to stay alive is going to be obviously quite worthwhile. Oh, sorry, we went for a glove. I thought it was the cloak. Never mind me. Getting that IE, I believe, on the Jinx right now. Yeah, going to be doing that. And having the transitioning the Rage Blade off from her. Right, we had that Rage Blade there. In my mind, we had already moved it off since the The Rage Blade just has a little bit too much scaling, and we already have quite a lot of attack speed given now through these Dead Blades. We should be quite fine. And the Velvet simply has that more built-in attack speed scaler, so she's going to like the Rage Blade a little bit more. Otherwise, the item in itself is simply understated for the value it provides. And since we have Challenger, we already have quite a lot of ramp in our comp. But we had to make the slam for a play and obviously to kill a Rod, and that is one of the ways we're going to be able to do so. Fine, there's a Vex 2, and we're going to be Scout, and you're going to queue Vex 2, Graves 2. Thankfully, this Graves should not have that many upgrades, so let's see how we fare against their weaker frontline. Quite easy, with mow down we can see through all this item power that we have right now, and this Jax is still an absolute monster. Nerf 3 times, still absolute beast if you're able to get a setup, and even though we do not have the strongest one with double stone plate, still amazing to do so. Ideally would be fishing for a couple of components only here. Have to evaluate now, we do not have anti-heal, so perhaps we are evaluating the possibility for the Sunfire to be made here. Find a TG on our next roll, so that is an immediate pickup. We can utilize it immediately right away. Cannot exactly push level 8 here, so maybe, are we going to be playing 6 out of 7? Or are we going to be slotting in this MF? Let's see what is his decision going to be. It seems more to be leaning towards being open, and now we see that Dayhawk has cashed out here on 1 life and cannot find these Dianas exactly. Still a couple of copies of, even though taking a Prismatic Econ and Comet Score, and we fight him right away. So hopefully this should be easy pick up for ourselves. Only that Aurora 3, but do not have the frontline to support it either, and we're easily able to clear him. Now this Golden Egg player here with a 2 tanky Zoe build is quite nice to see. They have the Golden Egg from obviously from their Call of Chaos, but they have an insane cap, and actually one of those spots where you can capitalize it. Going on a win streak here. Quickly want to pause this board here. Yeah, they had this possibility to print that Leona, right? And this is one of the prime ways how you are going into your fast 9 lines, especially around the Shepherds. This Leona being an absolute monster, but utilizing it in this way, getting out of the contest. And simply, yeah, Zoe with this utility is quite fine. Jojo is going to be best, and this Leona is absolute monster with double stoneplate, permanent HP scaling, and it seems that they're not running too tanky or anything else. Oh, they have the Mord, right? Mord obviously insanely synergized into this board, and finishing off with some Darkstar units. Quite neat little innovation, it's nice to see it. Zoe, one of those units that also got buffed. More into what seems to be perhaps a failed fast 9, playing around some form of a core keep there as well. Easy pickup for ourselves, and now we have delayed our level and now are going to push level 8 and hopefully able to find Morgana is a flex unit that we can be tossing in over Raz. Is completely fine. We do not finally find that Kindred. It would be quite sad if we did not manage to, but it means we're going to be selling for a Morgana here, which is also fine since Raz does not get that insane value. Raz absolutely pops up when you get 6 traits for him. So going against Brawler Yi, this simply does get stuck on our onto our Jax. The reason why this Jax unit is so insane is they're simply having this flat damage reduction, right? That is why they had to remove his HP aspect, because there's quite a lot of units into this meta, into this set that deal a lot of lower amount of damage option, like lower damage spikes. And for example, why Corki was so oppressive against some of these, but he was simply able to nuke them down in his cast. Well, something like a Master Yi, especially with the Brawler, and doing these little ticks, Jax is going to be countering him. Now we're able to transition the stronger board, and he's with the double stone play, but we're still glancing onto this Leona player right here. But we should have our top 4 secured as well. Tila is going down there. I believe we might be considering option to just push levels here. Just fishing for this Kindred 2 is not going to allow that much value. Perhaps we're valuing that we want that little bit more, the resurrection for Morgana. Now we do get that, so let's see how we fare. And this is another fast 9 board. Did not seem to find the Vex, and this is something that happens. They have this caster Graves right there in the backline. Our Nunu ult does hit our backline, but they do not have the upfront damage necessary to get through this Jax, in at least in the Ghost matchup, so we're easy to win here. And the Zoe player is just clearing all the fast 9 boards for ourselves that have actually managed to hit. So let's see, 2 players alive, 2 players streaking, the Riot Games special. And they have cashed out their gold, and they have that Radiant Hodge there also, simply just to get the extra stats. And I believe that we simply might get outcapped here because of that cash out right there. Are we going to go for another tank item? Yeah, okay, we need a Morello. We find that Morello there. We do not have anti-heal. Definitely want that for this matchup. So our Belvet is going to be stuck on 2 items. Let's see how we fare. I believe this is going to be an interesting matchup to see 2 non-meta comps competing each other. We have managed to clear the rest of Frontline. Do not trying to work through this Leona 4, but she's absolute menace, and the Ascension kicks in and is always able to clear up. Still very competitive fight here, but they have, it seems, sprinting towards another Leona 4. That would be absolute insanity, seeing double 4-star Leona right there. The rest of their board does not seem to be that appealing. It's just simply having some Arbiter, 3 Arbiter, they're having some conduits there, so the Zoe is able to cast. Neither of us can really move, so there's not that many positioning things we can do. Akali does get a wrap, so that's a potential chance for ourselves. So we do not have to get to this Leona 4, and that's how we are able to pick up a win here. So the game is on, but now they have this... Now they have another 4-star Leona on their side, so now there's going to be 2 absolute unkillable units for us to get through, and I believe that might seal the deal, that since they're going to be more aware also of this potential wrap, they're able to also can keep improving their board and have made it all the way to level 10 as well, 2-starring some of their other units. They're not going to let us get away with this anymore, and now we're going to get stuck on the first Leona, but then we have another one to burst through. There's simply too much HP on their side, and our Jinx even gets killed off by the bounces from the Zoe before the Ascension kicks in, so I believe this is going to spill the end game for ourselves. Otherwise, very well played spot by Wigbug here, identifying exactly at which points we need to spike, and we saw that we do not have the strongest of the early games. Nonetheless, we made the best to find our recon, just because we found how expensive these reroll comps sometimes can be. We maximized our recon, identified when we needed to spike, sending it down when we are close, able to hit, win out from there, and stat check many of these boards through this insane sword overflow pickup, and able to close the game here on the top 2 for ourselves against quite an interesting board, against a player who has also invented quite a lot. I'd like to thank you for watching. As usual, the cheat sheet is going to be available in the link down below, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.